We head to New York City, where opening statements began today in former U.S. President Donald Trump's historic criminal trial. He's accused of falsifying business records in order to keep an alleged affair with an adult film star out of the public eye ahead of the 2016 election. We're joined live now by CNN's Gloria Pazmino, who's outside the Manhattan criminal courthouse. Gloria, the prosecution opened by detailing an alleged catch-and-kill scheme Trump engaged in with his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, and former CEO of American Media, the parent company of the National Enquirer, David Pecker. What is the prosecution accusing Trump of doing alongside these men?
Well, that's right. The Trump prosecution began this morning by laying out the details of the case and what you just described, this relationship with David Pecker, the publisher of the National Enquirer, is exactly what is at the core of this case, according to the government. They are accusing the former president of conspiring both with Michael Cohen and David Pecker to hide negative stories about him that he believed would be damaging to his 2016 presidential election. So the government began by laying out that case, and then the defense followed. Trump's defense lawyers also delivered their opening statements saying that Trump is not guilty of the crimes that he stands accused of. They said he had nothing to do with falsifying business records, although they do acknowledge that he did sign some checks. They said that Trump was simply running a political campaign and that non-disclosure agreements are not illegal. Now, as you said, David Pecker was the first witness that was called to testify on the stand. His testimony was wrapped up today. Court ended a little bit early in reflection of the Passover holiday, but we expect that testimony to continue tomorrow morning.
And Gloria, how will Pecker's testimony potentially impact Trump?
Well, we got a little bit of a glimpse of it this morning when the prosecution began to question Pecker. We started to see them sort of laying out exactly where they're going when it comes to Pecker. They started by asking him questions about his work at the National Enquirer, how long he had been doing that, and they began asking questions about this so-called catch-and-kill scheme, or checkbook journalism, the practice of buying the rights to a story in order to make sure that the story was never published. David Pecker said that ultimately the most important thing was what was on the cover of the magazine, because what he wanted to do was to sell magazines. And that's certainly something that the prosecution pointed to both in their openings, but also something that the defense pointed to in their presentation of the opening statements, saying that David Pecker and the National Enquirer simply wanted to sell magazines. So we expect to hear more tomorrow about how this alleged scheme happened. We heard the beginning stages of it today. It all started in 2015 during a meeting at Trump Tower with Michael Cohen, Donald Trump, and David Pecker, where they allegedly hashed out this scheme to cover up these stories, all in an effort to help Trump's presidential bid.
Such an interesting time, a historic moment there in New York, the first American former president on trial criminally. Thank you so much for joining us, CNN's Gloria Pazmino.